A lot of you hanging on. Let's go right to the phone calls. First up, Jimmy, New Orleans, Louisiana, Sirius XM 131. Hi.
Hi, Hank. So I have a question regarding morality. I am Christian. I have a coworker who was formerly a Christian, and I think he's not self-identified, but if I had to identify his beliefs, I would call him a deist. But he does not believe in the Bible or any form of religion. So I questioned him as far as his morals go, and how can he have morals without being a Christian and without believing in God's commandments? Is that even possible for someone who was not raised in a religious system, regardless whether Christian or anything, to have morals?
Yeah, it is, because even non-believers know the difference between right and wrong because of natural law. So can unbelievers display good morals? Again, the answer is yes. It's not necessary to believe in God to behave in ways that accord with conscience and decent morals. Of course, I know many atheists who are what you could call upstanding, respectable people. But of course, the Bible shows that all have sinned, none are righteous. So they, along with the rest of us, live with the fact that we have a willer that is bent in the wrong direction, if you will, a broken gene. And you cannot have the righteousness of Christ apart from Jesus Christ. And remember, when that righteousness is spoken about, Paul talks about it as a foreign righteousness, a righteousness not of our own that comes from the law, but that which is through faith in Christ. One other point, I think, in this regard, it's impossible to account for objective morality without God, but that's a different issue. You cannot explain or justify the existence of objective moral values and duties apart from God. So it all starts with God, but natural law is written on the canvas of our consciousness.
Understood. So a question that followed this conversation was related to something I saw on the news. There was a little boy in a foreign country being trained virtually from birth to be a killer. He was trained how to use automatic weapons. And the question came is that if his whole life, from youth to adulthood, he's trained to kill and to murder, is his chance for salvation already written?
Well, no.
If he's not following any kind of moral code, what is it? Because essentially it's not his fault that he's being raised this way. He has no choice.
Well, he does have a choice, and the fact is that what we know for certain is what the Apostle Paul says. When he's in the Areopagus, he talks about the fact that from one man, God made every nation of men that they should inhabit the whole earth. He determined the exact times and places that they should live, and he did that so that men might reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from each one of us. So what we know is that all of us have the light of creation. We look at the universe around us and we know there is a universe maker just as certainly as if we would look at a basketball, we know that there's a basketball manufacturer. And then God has written, and I just alluded to this earlier, he's written a knowledge of right or wrong on the canvas of our consciousness. And therefore, as Paul says, we are without excuse. And thirdly, what we are promised is that if we search after light, we will receive light. Now, I cannot deal with every possible anecdote, but God can. And I know that in eternity, he takes into consideration every single converging factor, such that his justice and his love is on display in perfection. So while I cannot deal with all the anecdotes, God will deal with them in perfect love and perfect judgment. I can't, again, fully cash that out. I don't have the capabilities because I can't take into consideration all the converging factors in all human situations. But God promises that His justice and love is absolutely perfect, such that when we stand in the great assize with people from every tongue and people and nation, we will be delighted in His judgment, because we will say, just as if we were standing in a courtroom and we knew that the judge fairly considered every factor, we would be very happy with the verdict.
Good stuff. Thank you very much.
You got it. Thank you so much for your call.